Welcome back, everybody. The channel known as Level M Diecast is where you're at. Appreciate you joining me today. Hopefully you guys are Majorette fans. If not, maybe you're just diecast, want to check out some Majorette. These are a chunk of Majorettes that I picked up in my trade, my Australia trade. You guys want to check out that link, or check out that video, I will put a link to it at the end of this video. Show kind of where I got these. But we'll kick it off with these Suzuki Swifts. So there is a Suzuki Swift series. Majorette is pretty good at making a series of everything. They're tiny little series. They just, you know, it gets stuff out on the pegs. It's always something different. Majorette's very, very good at that. You know, they do make a lot of stuff every single day or every single year. That's just the mundane, same old, but then they throw in all these series cars and they kind of mix it up a little bit. So this is part of their street cars range. So these don't have any opening features, anything like that. They don't, you know, no opening doors, no opening hoods, nothing like that, nothing fancy. They still do have suspension though. That is a pretty good trademark for Majorette. They also do have lensed headlights, which is pretty nice. This is a pretty new casting as well. So this is not, you know, something from, 10 years ago. This particular mix, you know, you got the red and white, the yellow and black, and then the blue and white. I particularly like the blue and white. It looks pretty good. I do think it's kind of interesting that they have dual blue stripes on the hood, and then it goes to just solid white. I'm sorry, dual white stripes on the hood, and then it goes to just solid white on the top. It's kind of an interesting look, but it doesn't look right. It looks kind of unfinished. I'll be honest with you though, if that did have the two white stripes, it might be a little, I don't know, might look a little Ford to me, just saying. They do have full front rear tampos, of course. There is the deets on the back, does say Suzuki Swift Sport on it. Looks pretty decent. The base deets, get this switched around real quick so you guys can see that. There is your base deets there. Like I said, it does have suspension. You can see the metal bar in there, right in the middle, right around where it shows, you know, the Majorette logo. Shows that they still have suspension. These particular models are hook assembly. You see they do have a hook on the base there. So there is no peg on the back. There's no rivet or anything like that. Not something that is too available these days. You see a lot of Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars that don't have that hook assembly. Next one we're going to take a look at. This is the C7 Corvette. This is from their racing cars range. This one is kind of decoed up in the typical Corvette deco theme. It's not a licensed theme though, so they kind of just pick and choose little pieces off of it. But I think it looks good enough. Again, you know, lens headlights, as always, does have suspension on this one as well. I do like the Majorette on the white wall style tires. Looks very, very good, very race car. This is what they call a premium casting, so this does have opening doors, which is pretty nice. We'll check that out here just one second. It does have a plastic wing on the back, but it does have a nice splitter on the front, which is part of the base, which is a pretty nice detail. It looks pretty good. Does have just Corvette logo on the front there, and then of course it says Corvette across the windshield. Always love that. Looks super good. Just crack open the doors. There is the door. Looks pretty good in there. It's actual like steering wheel, which is something that we just don't really get with Hot Wheels or Matchbox. It's more like a plastic blob. But this one looks good. Some detail on the inside of the door as well. Not a ton of detail, but a little bit of detail. So that looks pretty good. And of course, both doors open, obviously. So it's a pretty nice one. It does have rear tampos on there as well, as you may have already noticed. There is your base deets. Looks pretty good. Made in Thailand. Could be made right down the street from Matchbox. Who knows? Who knows? Next one we're going to take a look at. This is the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Quattrofoglio, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not Italian. It's such a wicked car. It's such a wicked car. Now this, if I remember correctly, this is the original color that it debuted in. We do have another one that we're going to take a look at right after this. It's in a different color, I'll crack him open right now. I really like these wheels. I really, like these wheels. It is the best wheel that Majorette's done probably ever. I think this wheel just goes good with almost anything they put it on. They just, you know, foil print kind of the outside of the blades. It's just a really, really good wheel. Really, really brings out a lot of models. Obviously, this car has a very unique wheel in real life, which, you know, Majorette makes a sort of kind of wheel that's similar to that. I don't think we're going to see it in any of the models we're going to look at because it's an older wheel that they don't use anymore. But this one looks good. This one looks really, really good. Of course, it is in a dark metallic, you know, kind of candy red. It's a very, very nice color. Of course, it does have suspension, front and rear tampos, lensed headlights, as they always do. And yes, this is a premium casting. So yes, it does have a opening / moving feature. It does have opening doors. So we'll get those doors open. These ones open especially wide, which is pretty nice. It looks very, very good. They even have the print on the inside of that center grille with the silver outline in there. You know, that is part of the base or maybe even the interior. So, you know, Majorette is very, very good at these little fine details. I've told you guys this a million times. I'll tell you a million times more. They're just that good at these little tiny quirks. And that even includes the little roof or the little hood vents in the front. Look very, very good. Rear deets, do you have your Alfa Romeo logo in there, which actually is a very nice print. You can actually see it. And then, of course, there is that print for the grille. Looks very good. Base deets. Like I said, does have suspension. Some of them don't move all that much because there's not a lot of wheel space, but they're there. All right, so this is the next year's. So I believe that first one was 2021's premium range. I believe this one is 2022's premium range in blue. It's like a metallic cerulean blue. It's a really nice color. Another absolutely fantastic wheel from Majorette. This 6-spoke, or maybe 7-spoke maybe. But this is a relatively new wheel too. This thing looks absolutely bonkers on everything they put it on too. It's a very, very, very good wheel. It's especially nice when they put this on a Porsche. It looks extremely good on a Porsche. But this blue is really, really nice. This blue looks super, super good. I don't know what you guys think about the first one or this one. Personally, I think that this one's much better than the red. Although I would have liked this guy with the other wheels in blue though. But still, either way, they're still pretty good. They're still pretty good. Switching gears a little bit. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot bit. This is the Volvo V90 Wagon. This is a relatively new casting from Majorette as well. I believe this came out in 2020, I believe, is when it debuted. This one is decoed up. This is for their SOS cars range. This is, you know, their police, fire, emergency kind of stuff. They call them SOS. I believe that this is potentially Swedish. I got it from my buddy in Australia, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's Australian deco. I'm pretty sure this is not Australian deco because I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of Australian police cars from him, and they don't look like this, but I'm not exactly sure. So drop a comment and, you know, correct me, put me in my place, so to speak. This one is part of their premium cars range. Now, the interesting thing about Majorette, now think of it this way. Think of Hot Wheels having their premium range, and they don't change anything with them, but every once in a while they just throw them in the basic range. They still get all the same quality details and all that kind of stuff like that. They just are cheaper, I guess, which is kind of what Majorette does. Now, not all of their premium cars go into other ranges, but typically the other ranges are just the same price as a premium, so that's kind of how they flip it around. So it's kind of an interesting way that they do this. This guy does have opening doors because, of course, he is in the premium range. So we'll just crack those doors open real quick for you guys. This model is also in, quote-unquote, as you may call, civilian version. You know, without a light bar and just regular colors. They've done, I think, 3 colors on the civilian style version. I believe they may have even done a 5-pack that has 5 Volvo wagons in it, I think. Majorette's pretty good about getting product out there if people want it. Something that Hot Wheels and Matchbox don't do all that well, but they really get a lot of press, I guess you can say, for new castings that they do. And you know, it's not like Hot Wheels. You know, Hot Wheels does one and dones all the time, or they'll do like one car in premium and you won't see it for 2 years. You know, and then it'll suddenly show up somewhere. Of course, this guy is premium, as we already mentioned. So it does have full suspension. Some of the what they call the street cars series do not have suspension, but these ones do. And then of course lensed headlights as well. Very nice detail on the Volvo in the grille. And of course full deets. I don't know if it'll say on the placard on the side here. So I guarantee you, one of you guys watching knows exactly what police deco that is. And you're going to throw that in the comments, and I'm going to be stoked, and I'm going to be super happy. We are going to stay in Europe. We're going to go to Italy, because we definitely were not in Italy with that last one, I can tell you that. This is the latest Huracan. Majorette has done a bazillion versions of the Huracan. This casting's been around for a little bit. This casting even was relatively fresh. Way back when Majorette was at Toys R Us about, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. And that was when it was a relatively new casting. This, again, is a premium casting. So, does have a opening hood, quote-unquote hood. You guys know the Lambos, they open up in the rear. But this one has super dark tint on it. This basic Tampo you see here with the stripe on it, the kind of deco on the side, that basic design has been on pretty much every single Huracan they've ever done. The only thing they change really is the colors. And I think that's fine. Again, this is that really nice wheel. It doesn't look as good when it's just solid black. But this is that same wheel that was on the Alfa Romeo. Like I said, this does have a opening top piece. Just get this open real quick. Hopefully. Sometimes it just doesn't want to do it. It does stay up on its own, which is very, very nice. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've gotten any version of this Huracan that it doesn't stay up. But being as though these are made for kids, I'm sure that if a kid opened and closed it enough times, probably wouldn't open anymore. This one's pretty good. Of course, it still has suspension, still has, you know, all those details. Lensed headlights. Pretty much every single one is going to have that detail. It really helps them out because then they don't ever have to print the front of the car, even though they print them anyways. They still put grille details and all that good stuff in there. So, and then yes, of course, this guy does have suspension. So, not a lot of suspension because there's not a lot of wheel travel in there. But, we get this hooked around. You guys can see the deets. So, something that, you know, Matchbox used to do. They used to have the same or similar type of metal thing in there that made the suspension, so they don't do anymore. All right, so for all you, you know, JDM style fans and whatnot, even though this is not really JDM, but it's close. At least it's a Toyota. At least it's a Japanese brand. The Suzuki was a little different, but this is the GR Supra. This is a new casting from Majorette last year. They've done this in a few colors already. It's also been in tune-ups, which is kind of weird. They also do the Toyota 86. You know, they do the Scion. They do all those stuff. It's on the same wavelength. You know, as a matter of fact, when we do some more Majorette here in a little bit, down the pipeline, looking at some limited editions, I do have some of those not GR, it's GT86, there we go. This guy in yellow, black wheels, this is a relatively new wheel from Majorette as well. I really like this wheel too, looks pretty good. Again, part of the premium range. So this guy does have everything we've talked about before, you know, suspension, lens headlights and stuff. I think is pretty good detail. Rear prints on it as well, tail lights, all that good stuff like that. The doors open pretty good. They open pretty far. A little bit of detail in there. Kind of an interesting little swoop to it. The doors are kind of shaped a little different than normal, but it looks pretty good. The casting's a little like kind of beefy, I guess you can say. It kind of sits a little high up. It doesn't really have like that low slung look to it, but I think if you were to wheel swap this or something like that, it'd be pretty nice. It would be pretty nice. Of course, you know, still suspension. Always pointing that out. Base deets. There you go. Kind of interesting, all the stuff that they put on there. Toyota GR Supra. Supra! All right, we're going on to another premium casting that is not in the premium line. This is the AMG GTR. This is in the racing cars line. The one good thing I love about Majorette is their racing cars have racing decos on them. They're not just, they don't just take a car and throw it in there and be like, oh, it's a race car. They actually put some type of deco on it. It looks really good. This one is pretty nice. That is not a new wheel from them. Although, you know, that's used to great effect here, especially with the chrome lip on it. Looks pretty good. This guy is kind of decoed up as kind of a show car, I guess. Kind of an AMG show car. Does have a plastic spoiler on the back. Looks pretty good. This guy will have opening doors. Opening doors is usually what they do. They don't have opening hoods all that often, unless it comes to something like the Lambo or something like that, you know, you kind of expect it to have an opening hood. But this one looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy to have this one. This is one of their better castings that they do. I think that this casting is absolutely spot on, is absolutely perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. Of course, still suspension. This one has quite a bit more suspension. Opening doors as well. Looks pretty good. I do like this one too because the mirrors seem a little bit more proportionate. Some of the models, the mirrors are pretty tiny, especially if you look at like the Corvette. The mirrors are teeny tiny on it. But this one looks like perfectly proportionate. Looks very, very good. Especially like all the grille detail in the front as well. I think they did a great job with that. Very fine print details for sure. Getting that Mercedes logo there. Looking very good. Base deets. This one has an additional number on it, that BK number, I believe. That is the Bangkok production code. So they're still made in Thailand. They're made in Bangkok specifically. This one does have the scale on it, which is a 161 scale. All right, we're going to crack out the last one we're going to take a look at. This one is a little bit different. This is a Suzuki Chimney. This is from their street cars line, which means it doesn't do nothing. Doesn't have any opening parts or anything like that. However, it still has lensed headlights and it still has suspension. They've done quite a bit of Chimneys. This is a cult vehicle for sure. We do not get this here in the U.S. We don't get the Suzuki Swift either, but we do get everything else. They may not sell the V-Wagon anymore here, but we did get that V90 Wagon. But it's kind of nice to get a mix of cars that we get in the U.S., just not this one. So that notes art, I was informed, I did ask people what that was. That is for kind of a doctor. It's kind of like a doctor. So it's kind of like emergency helper, something like that, just to help out. You see that stuff all over for emergencies and vehicles, and they put that stuff on emergency vehicles on toys forever. So it looks pretty good. Of course, that light bar added on the top, not that great. You know, I wish they would have used a little bit more thinner light bar, kind of like what they used on the Volvo Wagon. They did a, you know, kind of that low slung kind of LED style of light bar. It looks pretty good. Would have looked better on the Chimney, but it's okay. It does have that spare tire on the back, and of course the taillight prints are super good on this guy because, whoop, I'm dropping them everywhere. Because it's painted on the base, so it looks pretty good. Just a generic wheel cover, but it looks still pretty good. This guy does have suspension, but he doesn't do anything, doesn't open or anything like that. Then base deets, should you want the base deets. Pretty sweet. So we're going to roll out. It's just a small mix we have for right now. We're going to take a look at the Giulias as they roll out, kind of flanked with our AMG because, yes, we love red, white, and blue here at Level M. So why not take an opportunity to roll out with that? So let me know what you guys think about those. Let me know what you think about Majorette. I love Majorette. We just can't get in the U.S., so I have to trade for it. And it's, you know, when you trade for it, you kind of get what you get. You can't be picky. And I'm very, very thankful to have quite an extensive Majorette collection that I've assembled over the years. And it's taken a lot of work and a lot of money, but it's very nice. So appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Always looking forward to those comments. You guys are awesome. Keep watching. I'll keep bringing more vids. We're going to catch you next time. Level M Diecast. Peace.